Welcome to our day 2 of Join at Home. I'm Mary.
And I'm Carrie. And today we're focused on embedded analytics. You'll discover new ways that data can fuel your growth and build new data-driven products your customers will love and happily pay for.
Here's Jawad Laraqui from Data Driven and our very own Pedro Alejano to tell us all about it.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you're enjoying this year's Join at Home conference. And I'm really excited to be part of day number 2 with the session Building and Monetizing Custom Data Experiences with Looker. Today is all about embedded analytics. And in this session, we're going to look at how organizations are looking beyond classic business intelligence use cases and using embedded analytics capabilities to build tailored data experiences for their customers. And you're going to hear from one of these companies today, Data Driven, and learn about their experience using Looker and Looker's development tools to build applications for things like rapid prototyping, data science applications, and also bringing a new product to market called Data Driven University. My name is Pedro Arellano. I'm Director of Product Management for the Looker team at Google Cloud, and it's my pleasure to be joined by Jawad Laraqui, who is Chief Executive Officer at Data Driven. Now we're going to begin by establishing some brief context on what it means to go beyond business intelligence and the opportunity that's created by embedded analytics. Then I'm going to hand it over to Jawad, and he's going to share Data Driven's experience with embedded analytics and Looker specifically and how they used that to deliver great value to their customers. And then we're going to wrap up with just a few questions for Jawad. So let's start by defining embedded analytics. When we say embedded analytics, we refer to the different ways in which data and insights can be delivered and used outside of the business intelligence tool. So for example, you can use embedded analytics to augment an existing experience with data from Looker. For example, a customer service application that gives you personalized insights about the client that you're helping, and those insights are coming from Looker or another data tool that you have. You can automate business processes. For example, you can use data to trigger a service order when an issue is encountered with a particular product, and your business intelligence or embedded analytics capabilities can trigger that particular workflow. Or you can use embedded analytics to build a data product that you can bring to market for your customers, like in the case of Data Driven. Now, the Looker platform supports all these embedded analytics use cases because it was designed for extensibility, and it was designed for the idea of making it easy to develop data applications. Looker has an API-first cloud-native architecture that is supported by a modern agile semantic layer that helps developers serve real-time, trusted, and well-governed data in any application they develop. So you can support all kinds of use cases, whether it is modern BI or integrated insights, data-driven workflows, or custom applications. Now, we recognize that embedded analytics is not a one-size-fits-all proposition, and organizations have different goals and they expect different outcomes. So, for example, we work with companies who want to modernize their existing analytics portals for their customers, and they want to insert world-class enterprise analytics in those portals. We also work with companies that are more interested in adding reporting capabilities to their products or automating business workflows with insights. And we also work with companies who just are looking for ways to monetize their data or uncover a new value stream. Now, these different goals require different approaches with embedded analytics, and Looker supports a variety of methods to help our customers reach their desired outcomes. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Jawad Laraqui. Jawad is Chief Executive Officer at Data Driven. And Data Driven is a consulting company located just outside of Boston whose mission is to help clients make better business decisions by using data. And Jawad is going to share his experience of building data applications with Looker. So thank you so much, Jawad, for joining us, and so glad you could be with us today.
Thank you, Pedro, for the introduction. I would love to talk to you a little bit about one facet of going beyond BI, which is leveraging the extension framework to build applications on top of Looker that really are, I think, a lot easier than you would expect and that deliver a tremendous amount of value. So before I jump into the applications that we've built and why we've built them, I wanted to give you just a really quick reminder of what the extension framework is and what an application on top of the extension framework, what does that even mean? So an application is just a web app, just a JavaScript web app. It just happens to be hosted by Looker, and it lives inside of your Looker instance. So how do you install it? As an administrator, I install it by going to the marketplace, finding the application, and hitting install. That easy. Another way, if you're working on something that's not in the marketplace, you can load the code into a Looker project in your instance, and it'll show up just the same way that it shows up if you install it from the marketplace. How do users launch it? So very important, how are people actually going to interact with it? Well, they can do it in two different ways. The first is it just shows up as an app on their applications page that they can find off of their homepage. So super easy. And then even in some of the navigation menus, every application that you have will show up in the list. Now that we heard a little bit more about what the extension framework is and what it is to build an application, I wanted to tell you about the product that we built called Data Driven University and tell you what the product is, why we built it, and why we decided to convert it to an extension framework application. So what is it? The problem that we're trying to solve is, we know that SaaS products are hard to learn. They have a lot of features. Those features change very frequently. And, everybody in your organization is looking to use these products and really wants to use it in different ways and wants to get different things out of it. So our goal is to help improve adoption of these products through structured learning. The way we approach that problem is by getting folks to learn by doing in chunks, to really only try to learn the part that's important for their job. We want to reflect back on how they're learning. So reporting ends up being extremely important for the learners to learn how they're doing, but then also for the company to understand how adoption is tracking. We're focused on teaching people BI tools like Looker and cloud computing platforms like GCP. We find that these are complicated tools that are hard for entire companies to adopt. And so we think that Data Driven University can really shine for those use cases. So what does it look like? Well, it's a learning management system, an LMS. Like most LMSs, there are lessons and you can watch video content and learn that way. But also, we think it's extremely important to learn by doing. And one of the ways that we do that is through guided walkthroughs. Here you can see we're actually prompting the user to interact with Looker and the Looker page to manipulate it and to learn that way. Additionally, we want to make sure that you've acquired that knowledge. And so we have quizzes that, again, require you to actually do stuff inside of Looker and come up with an answer. And then we'll verify that you got it right. That's what we set out to build with Data Driven University. The question is, why did we do it? Why did we decide to convert our application into something that sat on top of the extension framework? So for us, it's analogous to saying, what's the benefit of having my iPhone app in the Apple Store? Today, that seems obvious. And for us, it seems obvious why we would want to be on the extension framework. It's hard. Sales is hard. It's hard for customers to discover new applications, new services in general. And so for us, being in the marketplace is a way for customers to find us organically and use us organically. At the touch of a button, they can just hit install, and then boom, they're using Data Driven University. Almost as important, or probably even more important, is the idea that end users don't have to have a streamlined experience. They don't have to go to two different services. They don't have to register for a new website. For them, they're inside Looker. They're using Looker for their job, and now they can just fire up a learning experience inside of Looker. It's natural. It's easy. It's really the way it should be. So we try to counterbalance, when we were evaluating whether we should do this, we were counterbalancing the value of doing this against the cost. And it turns out that as we looked into it, the cost was actually relatively low. The extension framework is built using JavaScript and React, which are web standards. Data Driven University uses those same technologies, so it's a natural fit there. We can use component library to just pull things off the shelf to build our UI. We get security for free. There's a lot of templates and documentation. And so looking at those two things in conjunction, it became clear to us that we should do it. It has high impact for us on the sales side, the usability side. It's low friction for us to convert our application and to maintain it. So it ended up being a pretty straightforward decision for us. I wanted to dive a little bit into the technical side of how we built it, just to give you a sense of the complexity and really the simplicity, the lack of complexity in terms of making that conversion. This is our website. Looks like most websites that you've seen. It's hosted here on our servers. And because we built it using standard web technologies, you'll notice we have a sidebar and we have a lesson list, and each of those are React components. A lesson list is made up of individual lessons, and there's a lesson card, and that lesson itself is itself just another React component. And React components are great. They can actually talk to a backend. What we did is we just lifted our React components from our website and just popped them into the extension framework application, and everything works. Visuals are the same, and the connection to the backend are the same. So in some sense, we were able to very quickly copy, paste our whole application from a standalone website into something that is inside of Looker. So here you can see it. There it is. It's Data-Driven University. It's living inside of Looker. It looks a lot like the first screenshot that you saw, except some subtle differences that are really big and powerful. We are living inside of Looker. This is hosted inside of Looker, not hosted on our servers. And we did this quickly. One developer did this in one day. By virtue of being able to use the documentation and the example libraries and copy pasting kind of those React components, we were able to make the migration happen very quickly. It was really exciting. It was a really big aha moment for us when we got it done so quickly. We were so excited about how easy it was to build Data-Driven University as an extension framework application. It really stimulated our imagination in terms of what we're able to do in terms of other applications. And for our work on the consulting side, we found a lot of value in building data science applications on top of the extension framework. The reason for it is that it's really quite a natural fit. We are already inside of Looker, which means that we have access to model data. We have access to clean model data, which is like the utopia for data science and for machine learning applications. We're on top of Looker, which also means that we're on top of a data warehouse. And things like BigQuery have BigQuery ML, which means that we can power a lot of very complicated data science and machine learning workflows kind of like directly in the data warehouse. The third component is it really falls perfectly in line with the idea of democratizing analytics and democratizing data science, where an analyst can go and drive the data science application and doesn't need a PhD. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about one of the data science applications that we built. The use case here is you're an e-commerce site, you have customers who are buying a variety of products, and you want to sort of understand how these customers are grouping themselves together. And so we were able to build this, again, fairly quickly. Here what you're seeing is every pie chart and bar chart there kind of represents a cluster of customers that have a very particular behavior based on the products that they're purchasing. Here you can see a word cloud of the cluster of products. So we're automatically clustering products together based on their description and using that as the basis for segmenting the customers themselves. Honestly, I think the coolest part is this, which is a way for the analyst to actually tweak some of the internal parameters of the customer segmentation. So, a natural iteration of data science exploration is sort of, tweaking parameters, seeing the result, and kind of going back and forth. And now, we were able to have an analyst be able to do that instead of having to get somebody with a PhD to make it happen. If I leave it with anything, it should be to just go build. We've really enjoyed building on top of the extension framework. We think the apps that we built are really cool. We've gotten a lot of value from it. Our customers have gotten a lot of value from it. And it's a lot easier than you think. And so I encourage everybody to give it a try.
Thank you so much, Jawad, for sharing your story and the experience that Data-Driven had building on Looker. Just totally blown away by the fact that you were able to build the application using one developer in one day. It's just a great testament, I think, of the power of the extension framework and the speed with which people and organizations can roll out these data products. Love also your final slide, the message of go build. It is something that we're seeing a lot about. This theme of embedded analytics is something the Looker team is very excited about. And we keep seeing many of our customers using Looker to support these use cases that would go beyond the conventional definition of BI. So I'd love to get your perspective. Is this something that you're seeing too? And what does it mean for you when people say beyond BI?
Yeah, that's a great question. I found that I think historically people think about a BI tool as like the end of a story. I have my data. My analyst is just seeing a dashboard, and that's the end. And I think what Looker's done a really good job over the years is really giving us abilities to sort of continue that story. And so now Looker is really the middle of the story or the beginning of the story. There's things like the API so that you can start rolling data science out, Looker actions, and a whole bunch of stuff. So I think giving people more ways to build on top of their data is what that means for me. And I think the extension framework really fits into that. And one of the reasons why out of all the features that are about Beyond BI, that's the one that we're in particular super excited about.
I'm a big fan of the idea that BI is more of the starting point rather than the end point. I love that you frame it that way. When you talk about how to deploy these types of use cases, I think just thinking about our audience, that they've just learned about your story, and they're probably right now thinking about maybe new use cases that they can deploy with Looker within their organizations, new ways to get value from their data. As somebody that's done this, you've had the experience of going through this and figuring out, working through some challenges. What are the best practices or advice or recommendations that you would give anybody right now that is thinking about building a data application or even bringing a data product to market?
Yeah, for me, I think it's about just remembering who your end user is. I think one of the really powerful things in BI is the idea that everybody in the company should be an analyst. And so when you're building these applications, don't build them for engineers, don't build them for data scientists, build them for like the people that are actually going to need to do this for their job. So yeah, I think the biggest mistake that I see people making is sort of picking the wrong user in the organization. And there's like data democratization. I know it's a bumper sticker, but I think one that holds water. And I think there's a lot of ways to that these data applications can really help drive that.
That's great. And looking ahead, I'm assuming this is really just the tip of the iceberg for you and the data-driven team when it comes to embedded analytics and what you want to build. As you look to the future, where do you see your team? Where do you see data-driven going here with regards to these embedded analytics use cases?
Yeah, absolutely. So. We're hoping that Looker continues to build on the extension framework. I think what we've really enjoyed is that easy technical lift is like a real thing, and what we would love is to just be able to churn out more of these applications and sort of native experiences even quicker. And so I guess what we're looking for is for Looker to continue to build that out. And you are, and I think that's great. Like more things on the component library to take off the shelf. When we, the way we see our role is we want to, we would love Looker to continue to be a platform where it's very easy for us to build. So it's already doing the hosting part. And it's already giving us kind of like a bunch of building blocks. Kind of the next step for us is to make that no code. So that we can drag and drop a data application very quickly. So I'll put that on my wish list for Christmas for Looker.
That's great. That's great. I can't guarantee Christmas, but it is absolutely something that we're very committed to. So on the Looker side, just continuing to support these embedded use cases is something that we are very committed to. We will continue to roll out new features for the extension framework. You mentioned components. We will continue to roll out new types of components. We just see this happening more and more within our customer base. So this is sort of us responding to that desire to have the ability to build these data applications in a way that's faster, that's easier. So it's just great to hear that. And with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and hope that this session was valuable and interesting to you. On behalf of the Looker team, on behalf of Jawad, thank you so much for your attention. Jawad, thank you so much again for joining us. Really appreciate it. Where can the audience learn more about what you're doing with Data Driven?
You can go into the Looker Marketplace and install our application, or you can go to datadriven.university and see it there.
Fantastic. With that, thanks again, everybody. We hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.